Dana Begum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My constituents voted for me to continue to oppose austerity, defend our local services, support survivors of violence, and press for urgent immigration reform that centres migrant rights, ensures legal protection, survivor support, and dignity in accommodation. That's why we've been alarmed by campaigns that are targeting asylum seekers being confined in hotels, including campaigns outside the Britannia Hotel in my constituency, which some of these campaigns claim to be a five-star hotel with a swimming pool, and I know it definitely not to be the case. Anti-racist campaigners have reported coordinated efforts to intimidate communities with flag-raising, anti-migrant chants and aggressive interventions in local debates, and even the filming of asylum seekers being transported to these hotels. Charities and specialist organisations are warning that such campaigns are leading to the dehumanising of asylum seekers and cultivating climates of fear and division. Mr. Chair, asylum seekers are men, women and children who are exercising their right to seek asylum after being forced to flee wars and persecutions. And I'm very proud of our long history serving as a refuge for spaces for immigrant communities. And Poplar and Limehouse is a place where people fleeing persecution, seeking work or simply looking for a new start have found a home and built communities. In Poplar and Limehouse, we know it's not refugees and migrants, but austerity measures that have weakened local infrastructure and public services, leaving communities struggling with high costs and underfunded support, a situation that the far right frequently and unjustly blame on migrants and asylum seekers, despite repeated evidence to the contrary. And what is this evidence to the contrary when it comes to asylum seekers? Well, I will just touch upon a few in my remarks. Firstly, the UK's current system forces asylum seekers to wait over a year before they can apply for the right to work. And even then, they are restricted to jobs on the shortage occupation list, with many surviving on just less than £7 per day. And this contrasts sharply with other European nations, France, Spain, Germany, where asylum seekers gain the right to work after 3 to 6 months. And research by the NIESR just last year found that lifting the asylum seekers' work ban could reduce government expenditure by £6.7 billion annually. And I want to add that the Border Security and Asylum and Immigration Bill retains harmful policies, including expanded detention powers. And there was an amendment to lift the work ban, but it was defeated despite cross-party support. I believe that asylum seekers must be able to work unconditionally, because that surely would support integration, mental health and overall the economy as well. The second point I want to make is that the UK lacks accessible, safe routes for refugees, forcing many into making those perilous journeys. A recent report just in February this year from the APPG on refugees found current routes to be inaccessible and inadequate. And the Border Security Bill itself introduces counter-terror style powers to criminalise smuggling networks, which risk prosecuting refugees. It's what campaigners have labelled an anti-refugee bill. Surely what we need is an expansion of safe routes and establishing emergency visa schemes and to repeal deterrent-based policies. And the last one that I'll mention, Mr. Chair, is the Restoring Control White Paper, which proposes extending the qualifying period for indefinite leave to remain from 5 years to 10 years, creating uncertainty for migrants. We know, along with this, the immigration health surcharge unfairly targets migrant workers. And, people can't even get access to public funds anyway. But to believe that they are also being targeted through the immigration health charge means that it's essentially a punitive tax on people who are essential workers. I believe we need to abolish the charge and also reduce visa restrictions for care workers and also reject the White Paper's punitive measures as a whole. I really believe that the UK really must be aware of the need to uphold its moral and legal obligations to protect refugees and prioritise humanity over hostility in the immigration system. From ending indefinite leave detention to creating safe routes, we need policies that reflect our values of dignity and compassion. That's why I will continue to push back against toxic narratives and stand up for solidarity, truth and the rights for all who live here. because this is in line with the traditions of solidarity in the East End of London, where we see diversity as a strength and where all of our communities include migrants from all around the world, where the Jewish communities and allies opposed fascists at the Battle of Cable Street in 1936, where the murder of Altab Ali brought people out on the streets, and where the Bangladeshi communities led the anti-fascist mobilization in the 1970s. And where the communities on the Isle of Dogs defeated division, intolerance and hate spread by the BNP in the 1990s. We know that hardship can be overcome, and it can be overcome collectively. That's why, as we look back on our rich history of welcoming refugees and migrants, we look to our present, fully aware that the far right are planning to target our area once again this week on Saturday, the 25th of October, amidst a rise in racist, Islamophobic and anti-Semitic attacks, where just a couple of years ago, more than 700 people were evacuated from the East London Mosque and the London Muslim Centre and nearby schools as well, following a bomb threat. We will stand together in defiance on Saturday, and we will say, no passaran, they shall not pass.
Yeah.